welcome to the kitchen at Westminster for a holiday edition of Saving Thyme. This week, I'm not bothering with a meal. Holidays are about dessert, they're about indulgence, they're about extravagance. This is super simple, super delicious. I know a lot of you like it. It's a restaurant kind of thing. Sticky Toffee Pudding. What a great holiday meal dessert. Let's get into it. This is so good, and you know what? It's easier than you imagine it's going to be. Right off the bat, I measured things ahead today, I will say that, because we're not so much worried about showing that we can get this ready in an hour. Still, it's a simple dessert. I've spent about 15 minutes getting some things measured out and stuff. Right off the bat, I've got dates. Make sure you buy pitted dates. Okay, don't buy the ones in a brick, because they're really dry. They'll be hard to melt down. So get a bag of dates, pit it. If they're not pitted, you've got to pit them. You can't leave the pits in. Chop them up so that they're just, you know, like that kind of piece. I cut the dates, probably each date into like 6 pieces, something like that. Cut down the long side and then chop them up into little bits. Just that simple. I want to make a cup of tea. So I've got some boiling water over here. And I'm just going to pour in 1 cup. I want 1 cup of tea, so I'm going to pour in 1 cup of water. That. I'm pouring in the water first because the tea bag, of course, where did I put it? Who can see it? Shannon, I found it. Drop your tea bag in there. Tea bag's going to displace a little bit of water, so measure your water first. We're just going to let that brew for a second. I want to add 1 teaspoon of baking soda to my dates. This is super simple. And to be perfectly honest with you, you could just put hot water over your dates. Shannon's reminding me to tell you to preheat the oven to 350. You could use just plain hot water. I think the tea lends a little je ne sais quoi. Okay, you've got to go for it. This is, and I mean, come on, this is hardly breaking our backs to give it a little extra something, something. I've used just a regular old orange pekoe tea. I mean, just whatever you've got. If you've got a breakfast tea or something like that, go for it. I wouldn't go chai. The spiciness of a chai would affect the flavor, obviously, all the way through. Earl Grey, breakfast tea, orange pekoe, any of those will fly. We're just going to let it steep along a little bit more. You know what? We can help it and just give it a little squish. And we don't have handy a compost bowl, but I'll just drop it in here with the eggs. And then just pour it over. Okay, we're just gonna let that's just gonna soften our dates. So we're just doing that and let that sit. When you look at the recipe at the end, you'll see I had 1 cup of chopped dates. Measure them after you cut them. Don't measure the dates whole, measure the chopped dates, okay? Just because, obviously, right? It's not gonna be the same. In here, I have 6 tablespoons of butter and 1 cup of sugar. I think it was 1 cup of sugar. Yep, 1 cup of sugar. All I want to do right off the bat, I want to cream it. So make sure you start with softened butter. And so that you can just press it down with the back of a spoon. I find a wooden spoon to be the easiest thing to use for this. I mean, if you don't have one, use whatever you want. You could even use a good sturdy spatula if that's what you want. But you've got to soften it and just keep creaming it so that you're getting the sugar blended into it. If you want to use a hand mixer, like an electric hand mixer or your stand mixer, go ahead. If you're going to do that, I suggest whipping the butter a little bit on its own first, or when you turn it on, the sugar will fly and be all over the place. So you don't want that problem. By the way, hello. Christmas apron, right? I know, it's pretty cute. A long time ago, someone gifted it to me, and it's in my box of Christmas things, and I get it out every year, and it makes me feel a little fancy. It's kind of got a Mrs. Claus sort of thing going on about it, doesn't it? When you picture Mrs. Claus. So you can see how this is just coming along. It's getting, all the sugar is blending into the butter. Grab yourself, I'm going to grab just a butter knife. I just want something to scrape the back of the spoon off with. So just that. Sticky Toffee Pudding is such a great treat, and I mean, I also make Christmas pudding, but I mean, you gotta start Christmas pudding a month in advance, right? This is day of, good to go. And you know what? You can make this and freeze it. So you could make these ahead of time, wrap them individually even, and freeze them, and then just make up a nice toffee sauce or a creme anglaise or anything at all. And you know what? And a pinch of scoop of ice cream. Yeah. So you don't have to get too carried away. That's going to be great right there. Okay, I'm happy with that. Next thing we're going to do is add a couple of eggs. So that one had a funny shell. I'm excited. I mean, you can imagine holidays. I mean, I like the holidays. I like getting ready for them. I bake. I bake a lot. And I mean, why wouldn't you, right? Why wouldn't you? I'm sorry about last week that we didn't get to make our pie, but I would remind you, if you're looking to make holiday pies this season, go back to the episode where I made meat and potato pie. The pastry is the same, okay? And then you just go from there. Basically, a 9-inch pie needs 4 cups of fruit. So whatever kind of fruit you're doing, you need 4 cups of fruit for a 9-inch pie. And your sugars are according to your fruits. Obviously, some fruits will take more than others because of their natural sweetness. Just blending that all through. There we go. And I think I want, so that was 2 eggs, and I want 1 teaspoon of vanilla. There we go. Look at that. I even measured baking. You kind of have to, right? I've been known to, you know, throw things in. You've watched me do it. It's a bit of a thing, but give it all a nice good stir. Get that all blended through. You can see what we've got happening here. Now, I brought along my rotary mixer, and I might get it out. I might just make do with this. We'll see as we go along. These have been softening. We're going to alternate. In here I have all of my dry ingredients. So I have, just to go back, I've got, 1.5 cups of flour, a teaspoon of baking powder, a pinch of salt in here. 1 cup of dates, 1 cup of hot water or tea, teaspoon of soda. We're going to alternate back and forth what we're doing. I'm just going to give this a mix through. My soda or my baking powder and salt were on the top, so I'm just going to do that. I'm going to go 3 of this and 2 of that. I'm not going to measure what I'm doing. I'm just going to say that's about 1/3 and give it a little stir. This is so simple and so delicious, and it's a bit of a big deal, right? I mean, you look pretty fancy when you bring out the Sticky Toffee Pudding. And what a lovely compliment to whether really truly anything you do, whether you do turkey or beef, any of them will be great for that. Give it a stir through, a mix if you're using your mixer. Here, just give that another little mix. That's good. Pour some in. Like I say, I'm going about half of that. I'm going to do 2 of the wet ingredients. And then again, if you're using your electric mixer, go slow to start so you don't get a big splash, okay? You don't want it all over your counter. And then go about half of what was left. Give it a stir through. This is pretty normal for cake making, is to alternate between your wet and your dry ingredients. It helps to make sure everything gets uniformly blended. And you can see, I mean, otherwise, there is a method of making cakes. I have some where I do all the dry at once and then all the liquid, but it's a little messy. I mean, you can imagine, things get pretty sloppy. And now we can do the last of that. It already smells really good, I've got to tell you, and I really am a proponent of using the tea. your choice. If you don't have any tea, you're not going to, no one's going to say too bad about the sticky toffee pudding. However, if you have it, I really think that you should go for it. I know it sounds funny. You know, I use tea to season a lot, like to add a little something to a lot of things. When I make a chocolate pudding, I quite often put a chai tea in my milk as I warm the milk. And it gives it, in that case, I want that, I'm sorry, excuse me, a little bit of spicy flavor in with the chocolate. It's nice. So don't ignore just the simplicity of a tea bag as a seasoning. And we're just going to blend that in, and look, we're almost oven ready. Like, honestly, I know I measured the things off camera, but like nothing. So what? That was no work at all, just to get it ready. Chopping the dates took the longest, I guess, but hardly anything. 1 cup, it's not much. Give it a good stir. And I'm gonna scrape off that spoon again to make sure that I don't have any. Sometimes you get kind of a dry bit in there, and we don't want it. It kind of gets stuck to the bowl of the spoon, and then there. Okay, now that can come to the side, that can come to the side. I didn't even use this, but how fun is this thing, right? I mean, you know, love it, love this. And if you need to whip eggs, way to go, way to go. Ramekins, I got them ready, so what you want to do is butter the sides at least. Now I like to use a ramekin for this because I like the height, I want the depth. You can use a muffin tin certainly, but I do like the shape of that better. If you use a muffin tin, you're probably going to get 12, not 10. And they'll be a little less tall, but you'll have more. When I do this, I butter the sides. I just use regular parchment paper and tear it into squares. Don't go out and buy expensive paper liner things. Just use your parchment paper. Stick it in, that little bit of butter, it'll stick to the sides. So I've got 10 ramekins here. Get yourself a baking sheet to load them all onto. We're not going to set them individually into the oven. That would be lunacy. And I did put parchment down because we are going to add a topping before we're all done with this. And the topping could come out over, and then you'd have hard work. You don't need the hard work. This is about fun. This is nice stuff, so you don't want to torment yourself with all sorts of extra work. I'm just going to get rid of that for now. I'm going to use just a tablespoon to start to scoop into these. So we want to make sure that we're going to get them equal. So start with 1 scoop in each, and then we'll see where we're at, okay? And we can go off camera a second. I'll scoop away, and then we'll come back on before I set them into the oven. Okay, so you can see, I probably put 2 good spoonfuls in each, but you can see they're about half the depth of the ramekin. And if you're using a muffin tin, you'll get 12, like it would go that much further at least. While they're in the oven, I'm going to prepare 2 things off camera. One is the topping for the sticky toffee pudding. So what I have in here is a 1/4 cup of butter, and this is all on the recipe at the end. 1/4 cup of butter, coconut, brown sugar, and once this melts down, I will stir in a 1/4 cup of cream. And I'm using 35% cream. In this pot, I have 1/2 cup of butter and a full cup of brown sugar. And I'm gonna melt that, and same thing, once it's melted down, I'll add some cream to it. All of this is in the recipe at the end, you're gonna see it. This will be our sauce for serving. So we're gonna prepare it and then just reheat it to serve. This is topping. When these are ready to come out of the oven, we'll spoon this on, put it back in the oven for 2 minutes. Okay, and it makes a broiled topping for them, and it's lovely. And so I'm going to get those ready off camera while these bake. This is gonna go in for 30 minutes at 350, and away she goes. That's gonna be it, and I will see you in 30 minutes. Sticky toffee pudding on the way. I'll see time's up. Let's get these out of here. They are done and they smell delicious. Woo! They're lovely. And we'll just do a little, yeah, look at that. They're done. They are done. Close that up. Now, the next thing we're going to do is this is the topping that we're going to put on them. And this is our toffee sauce. So all we've got in here is butter, brown sugar, 35% cream. It's really, I mean, it's a bad idea and a wonderful idea. It's the best sort of bad idea. This is butter, coconut, brown sugar, vanilla, and some cream. I just let it come up to a little bit of a boil, and then I've had it shut off. So you don't need to keep it hot by any stretch. You want to bring it to a boil and then shut it off. And then we're just going to divvy it up around them. So start light and make sure that you get enough, and then fill it in. And then what happens is we put this back in the oven under the broiler, and just for like 2 minutes, you're just gonna let it bubble up. There's lots of cakes that have toppings like this, and you know what? It's a great little topping for any cake you want. You just mix up. You could put nuts in there if you wanted to. I don't usually, just because then you know you've got the nut allergy issue, but you can, and just keep spooning it around. Whoops, lost some, thus the parchment, right? Remember I mentioned about keep that parchment there because we're going to do this. And I'm just divvying it around. This is just you know what? This isn't a step that everyone takes in sticky toffee pudding. I think it's a nice part of it. You certainly don't have to. Similarly, if you love nuts, by all means, you can bake them right into your batter. I just find it's nicer to let people, you know, you could always sprinkle some on the plate if you wanted to, and then you're not committed. I'm just gonna get rid of that. And then, I've only got a little bit more in here. I just want to divvy it around, pop it back in the oven, 2 minutes, and then we're going to be ready to serve, if you can imagine. This is how far you would take it ahead of time. And if you wanted to prep this earlier in the day, and then for dinner, you just put them in a nice deep casserole dish and cover them with foil, pop them in the oven, warm them up. And it's that simple. There, back in the oven we go. Get that open so I'm ready. 2 minutes on the timer, and in she goes. Whew. That fan makes the oven super hot. 2 minutes on, away we go. That's gonna be it. I'm gonna clean this up quick. We're gonna be ready with our sauce, which is just so rich and beautiful. You don't need much, okay? A little drizzle is all it's gonna take. I had it at a boil, and then I immediately turned it down, and I've had it shut off and just sitting on the residual heat of the outlet. We're good. 2 minutes, I'm gonna see, we're gonna be ready to plate. Okay, here we go. Here they are, looking beautiful. Haha, nice, nice. Really nice. Close this noise up, and off she goes. This is really nice. Okay, look how good this is. These are ready to go. I'm just going to, I want to show you how nice they are. So remember that handy little bit of parchment we put in there? Look how nice that makes it. Just like that. And then very carefully pull the parchment away and slide it off like that, right? How nice is that? And then the crowning glory. You've got your beautiful pudding. You really, I told, like this, it's rich. You don't need a lot. And drizzle it over just like that. And go a tiny bit more. Just drizzle it over. Look at how nice that looks. Isn't that pretty? I'm gonna set that right there. Gorgeous dessert. gorgeous dessert, restaurant quality. If you've got a couple of blueberries laying around the house, for heaven's sakes, put them on the plate. This is exceptional. It was really easy to put together. You saw how easy it was. Nice, easy cleanup. You've made a beautiful dessert here. Enjoy your Christmas dinner. Before we close today, do you realize we've been making these videos for almost a year? And in recognition of that, we've put together here at Westminster a collection of all the recipes that we've done in the past year with Saving Thyme. It's in a nice cookbook format, $15. It's got, I think there's 38 recipes in there. It's a really nice collection, all the simple things we've made together. If you're interested in getting a collection like that for yourself, or maybe to gift a teacher or a neighbor, who knows what, please contact the church office on Tuesday through Friday between the hours of 10 and 1, or email me, as always, at facility@westminsterorangeville.ca. Either way, great Christmas gift or just a great gift to you to have on hand. Sticky Toffee Pudding recipe is in there. Have a great holiday. I'm going to see you next week. It's another local food club kit. So last one of the year, and I'm not sure what it is yet. We'll find out, but I'll see you on Wednesday of next week. Take good care in the meantime. Bye-bye.